Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about the M18 Hellcat, also known as the 76mm gun motor carriage M18. But before we begin, I'd like to say that I'll probably be at the wedding when this video comes out, so next video might be slightly delayed. Furthermore, I'd like to ask you guys, if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Now let's get right into the video. The M18 Hellcat was a very agile tank with a very powerful gun and minimum armor. The Hellcat had a 350 horsepower engine and the engine was named the Continental R975-C1. Or it had a 400 horsepower engine which was named the Continental R975-C4. The Hellcat had almost no armor. Its thickest point was 25mm and its thinnest point was 5mm. It was mainly to keep the tank very agile. It was one of the fastest tanks which has ever served. Its theoretical top speed was 89 km an hour on the road, and off-road that was reduced to 42 km an hour. Which is still about as quick as the M4 Sherman Tank, which its top speed was 46 km an hour on the road. But I must admit that it also depends on which version of the Sherman you're comparing it to. The speed of the M18 was rarely ever used in combat since it was classified as a tank destroyer. But the ability to outflank German tanks for side and rear shots did benefit the crew against the heavier armored Panther and Tiger tanks. This was partly due to the fact that the German tanks had a slow turret traverse speed. It was also easy to maintain. This came from the engine being mounted on steel rollers, which permitted a quick removal and replacement. The transmission was also easily accessed in this manner. The M18 has an open turret, just like several other tank destroyers during that time. For example, the M10 Wolverine or the T40 M9 tank destroyer. This, however, left the crew vulnerable for snipers, grenades, shrapnel or firebombs. The M18 had a 76mm gun, but this soon proved to be not as effective as hoped against the German armor, although a limited supply of high velocity armor piercing ammunition did compensate to some extent. It also had a maximum fire rate of about 20 rounds per minute. Its main armament was a 76mm M1A1, M1A1C or M1A12 with 45 rounds available for the main armament. It had a 360 degree manual and hydraulic traverse with 24 degrees per second, 20 plus degrees and minus 10 degrees of elevation and depression. The secondary armament was comprised of a .50 caliber M2HB machine gun in the ring mount. The crew composed of 5 crew members. These were the commander, the loader, the driver, the assistant driver and the gunner. The Hellcat wasn't very big, it was only 6.7 meters tall, 7.9 meters wide and 5.3 meters long. Or 6.7 meters long if you include the barrel. Now we come to the fun part, service history. On the 19th of September 1944 near Arracourt, France, Lieutenant Edwin Leiper led an M18 platoon on the way to Moncourt. He saw a German tank muzzle appearing out of the fog 9 meters away and deployed his platoon. In a 5-minute period, 5 German tanks of the 113th Tank Brigade were knocked out at a loss of 1 M18. The platoon continued to fire and destroyed 10 more German tanks while losing only 2 M18s. One of the platoon M18s commanded by Sergeant Henry Hartman knocked out 6 of those German tanks, most of these were the much feared Panther tank. By the time it ended, they knocked out 39 German tanks at a loss of only 4 M18s. It also saw action in the Battle of the Buldge on December 19th and 20th of 1944. 4 Hellcats of the 705th Tank Destroyer Battalion supported an attack on the 2nd Panzer Division. This spoiling attack slowed down the German attempt to seize Bastogne until the Americans could organize their defenses. M18 served in the tank destroyer battalions and other units supporting the US Army infantry divisions in the later stages of the Pacific War, notably in the Philippines and Okinawa. Tank destroyer battalions equipped with the M18 that served in the Pacific Theater of Operations include the 637th, the 670th and the 671st. Although only the 637th saw combat, most notably participating in the Battle of Manila where it earned a Distinguished Unit citation. After World War II, many M18s were sold to other countries. Many intended for European countries under the Mutual Defence Assistance Act were rebuilt and refurbished by Brown and Root in northern Italy in late 1940s and early 1950s. One of those uses was Yugoslavia, which received 260 Hellcats during the Informbiro period and kept some in reserve until the early 1990s. A number of these vehicles were later used by the military of the Serbian Krajina and Army of the Republika Srpska during the Yugoslav Wars. The Greek army received 127 M18s from 1952 to 1954. Iran received 55 M18s in the 1950s, and the Venezuelan military operated the M18s beginning 1954 when they purchased 40 of them. The M18 Hellcat is one of the most successful tank destroyers which had ever seen American service. It had an average kill to death ratio of 2.4, so that means for every Hellcat destroyed or knocked out, they had knocked out 2.5 tanks. Anyway guys, that was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day.